My name is Lauryn Maldonado. I am an LMSW and program therapist here at Integrated Interventions, and June is PTSD Awareness Month, so I'd like to talk a little bit about PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder. Post-traumatic stress disorder is a psychiatric disorder that can impact people who have witnessed or been through a traumatic event. This can also impact those who are in lines of work where they see traumatic events or witness traumatic events on repeats, such as first responders or military. For the majority of us, when we think of post-traumatic stress disorder, immediately what comes to mind is our troops overseas, people who have been in battle or have fought wars overseas, who have seen really horrific things and who have been through traumatic events themselves, maybe getting blown up or being in lines of fire. As a Army brat myself, and now someone who's a part of a company that's veteran owned and operated, I would like to say again, thank you to our troops for doing what you do, because I'm able to be here today talking about this. I also want to take a deeper dive into PTSD and as it affects the civilian population as well. You don't have to be someone who has been overseas or who has been in the line of fire in order to encounter and have symptomology aligned with PTSD. According to the VA.gov, about 6% of the population in the year 2020 had symptoms associated with or a diagnosis of PTSD. In raw numbers, that's about 13 million people. And I just want to focus on this for a second, because 13 million people is a huge number. And remember, we're only talking about 1 year. That's just 2020, and that's only in the United States. So that's not taking into account other populations around the world. Post-traumatic stress disorder can manifest mentally and physically in symptoms such as recurrent nightmares and/or distressing memories of the traumatic event. Flashbacks, where the individual can lose track of time and/or their surroundings, and sometimes these individuals will also feel or believe that the traumatic event is happening again in the present moment. Individuals suffering from PTSD can also struggle with negative mood, beliefs about self and others. They will avoid people, places, and even their thoughts. They'll have diminished interest in activities, irritable behavior, angry outbursts, trouble with concentration and/or with memories. When we talk about how to support somebody who has PTSD or has been diagnosed with PTSD, one of the first things that comes to mind is the service animals that we all see in the grocery stores wandering around with their owners. It says, "Do not pet." And I don't know about you guys, but for me, that is hard. I want to pet. One of the reasons that service members and people who have struggled with PTSD have service animals is because that animal can detect, of course, medical abnormalities or medical symptomology, but it can also help the owner to regulate. So I want to talk about that for a moment. So people who have been diagnosed with PTSD can utilize family, friends, pets, specifically ones that have been trained to assist them. They can use support groups, they can see a therapist, which I highly recommend, especially if the symptoms are prolonged and they've tried other options. The other thing that can be helpful is medications. So some of the therapies that are utilized when we talk about post-traumatic stress disorder can be exposure therapy, as well as models of cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. These treatment modalities or therapy modalities can assist a client who is struggling with PTSD in recognizing the events that happened to them, making sense of them, dealing with feelings of shame or guilt that many people who have been through a traumatic event will feel. They can also assist the individual with facing and controlling their emotions after an adverse event. Due to my experience and upbringing in a military family, one of the things that I'm really passionate about is educating and continuing to follow the most updated research in order to help other people understand that PTSD is real. It is really something that impacts not only our troops overseas, not only our police force, our firemen, our EMS teams, but also common civilians in day-to-day life. While not everyone who goes through a traumatic event will experience PTSD, someone that they know will. And it's important to keep ourselves educated so that we can continue to support others and reduce the stigma surrounding getting treatment for post-traumatic stress disorder. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that you learned something. Again, this is just a surface level brushing of the depth and complexity that PTSD holds. If you have more interest in this topic, I would highly encourage you to educate and look up and keep up with the current research. Once again, I am Lauryn Maldonado, LMSW and Program Therapist here at Integrated Interventions. If you'd like to learn more, please visit our website at www.integratedinterventionsllc.com. Thank you and have a great day.